live. What's going on, everyone? Thank you all so much for tuning in this time. Everybody that's here, I greatly appreciate it. Anybody watch us on the replay, thank you so much. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. So, just kind of wanted to do a live stream, have a fun conversation, fun talk about various potential trades and, free agent signings. And, you have the recent reports about the Warriors kind of pestering the Lakers about a potential LeBron trade. Just a lot of information that's coming out. We're inching closer and closer to training camp. So with that, ideally, I'd like to see, it's very possible Lakers don't make any other moves. I think it's more likely that the Lakers don't make any other moves. The Lakers just kind of run it in as is, kind of take it from there. But, there's still a lot of potentials. A lot of reports have said, Lakers have been active all offseason, continue to be active. I do think if the right trade or right move kind of comes along, I definitely think it's something that the Lakers would consider, right? I mean, I've talked about it. Rob Pelinka, he's one of those guys, if there is a trade to be had that makes sense, he will do it. He's made a trade every year but one. And the one year he said that he didn't make a trade was because there was nothing there and no one else was making trades. No one else was making moves. So I do expect that if there's something that can be done, something that makes sense, something that the Lakers could bring on board, then I think that the Lakers will do it. I definitely think if you're the Lakers, though, there's things like the Malik Monk situation. I definitely think you got to throw your hat in the ring, right? If you have the opportunity to land Malik Monk for essentially nothing, right? If you have the opportunity to land Malik Monk for free, right? Basically just salary swap, I think it's something you have to throw your hat in the ring. Right? Like, I know Lakers, yes, they need 3-and-D wing upgrade. You probably use another backup center. Like, there are things that are more pressing needs, right? Like more pressing kind of, things that need to be resolved. But again, any opportunity you have to improve the roster, be better, and move yourself closer to title contention, right? Especially if you can do it without having to give up resources and things that you can still go make moves in order to go land that guy. Why wouldn't you do it? Right? If you can land a Malik Monk right now for essentially pennies on the dollar and still have all your assets and still have tradable players and all this stuff to then go later on trade for an Andrew Wiggins and make trades and make moves. And now Malik Monk is just like a depth piece that you have to kind of just give you some production and some scoring off the bench. Right? Again, look for those opportunistic trades. Not every trade has to be this home run swing. Not every trade has to be this move that, is a Luka Doncic level trade. Sometimes those little minor trades, like the precursor trade for the next trade, right? The move before the move or something like that. Sometimes those work, right? Lakers want to do a consolidation trade. They're looking to try to clear some salary and potentially sign some guys and bring some guys in and whatnot, right? Might make sense to do something like that and do like a Malik Monk trade to where now, if a Nikola Vucevic gets bought out, boom, you're bringing in Vu, maybe you're signing a Malik Beasley. Malik Beasley is cleared and there's nothing, they basically said you're good to go. There is the perception, right? Which is a thing, right? There is the kind of, like anytime he has like a bad game or something, people are going to be like, oh, look, there he goes again, but at the end of the day, he didn't do nothing. He is, he has done good. So maybe you're bringing in, maybe you can pull off a trade to land a Malik Monk and then also bring in a Malik Beasley. And you still have all your defensive pieces. You still have all the guys, your kind of key core guys, and you're just adding more, shooting, more scoring, more versatility, and then waiting and being patient for that two-way win. Being patient for an Andrew Wiggins or something like that to develop or become available. Or, if you create enough kind of enough production, you get enough depth, you get enough talent and versatility overall to where the Lakers are a top team. Like, let's say they're, clearly a top 3 to 5 team in all of basketball, right? Because you've made these moves, you made these, like Malik Monk, Malik Beasley, went and brought in Nikola Vucevic. You've done these things to where you're one of the better teams in basketball. Now you're not coming from a place of desperation, right? Now you're not coming from a place of, oh, hey, we absolutely need the a Malik Monk or an Andrew Wiggins. Sorry. Like we absolutely need, like now it's we want, right? Like that's the difference. coming from a place of want and going to a place of need are two very different things. It's one thing when it's like, hey, we desperately need this because that's kind of like the one flaw and the one hole that you look at on this roster. It's like, that would solve a lot of the Lakers' issues. It's another thing when you're coming from a place of, hey, we're really good. We're tearing up the league. We're one of the best teams of basketball. We would love to have this guy, but we don't need this guy. Right. And there's several ways to do that. One is you are just so good that, it's not something like you can make the argument, or two, you end up kind of filling that position, which is why I'm fine with the Lakers kind of going into the season. What does Jared Vanderbilt do this year? Like, is he able to give you the production and the shooting, right? I'm not saying he's going to be 40% or anything, but even if he's like 34, 35%, that is huge for the Lakers, right? That now you actually have, one of the best perimeter defenders in all of basketball who's actually giving you some level of offensive production, right? Finishing at the rim, stuff like that. What if Jake LaRavia is exactly what this Lakers team needs, right? What if he is able to defend multiple positions and knock down the three ball with some consistency? Now, again, all of a sudden you once again have that just production, right? Like now you don't have that desperation of like, oh my God, we have to get right now. You can come from a point of like, hey, we still would love an Andrew Wiggins, right? Or we'd still love, we'd love an RJ Barrett, or we'd love a Miles Bridges, or we'd love any of these guys that can maybe kind of offset that and supplement that. We'd love those things, but we don't need those things, right? Like that's the difference. So, there's still several free agents on the market that could make a ton of sense for the Lakers. Lakers can work it out. Something that I've talked about is like, I want to see the Lakers, like the Lakers need to know, right? You don't want to go in and make a move and you don't have that confirmation, right? Like it'd be nice to know, like, okay, we can get Malik Beasley. We can get, Nikola Vucevic. Or an Al Horford, right? Let's say Al Horford's like, hey, if you free up the spot, I'll come sign with you, right? Okay, cool. Now you know, okay, well, we can get this guy or we can do that, right? It's another thing when you don't have that confirmation, right? When you're kind of like, okay, we're going to make this move and we're going to do this thing, unless that move is just there that makes sense regardless. Like, I think like a Malik Monk trade makes sense regardless. I think that that's something that the Lakers could make. And even if you don't have the confirmation, he's a guy that's good enough and kind of solve some of the bench scoring for a team that, yes, I understand you look at this Lakers team and it's like, do we really need more offense? But Lakers bench, it was one of the worst offensive benches in all of basketball, right? So if you can kind of solve some of the bench scoring while still maintaining the defensive pieces, while still maintaining the flexibility, while still doing those, again, it's the opportunistic trade, right? Malik Monk is an excellent player that solves a need that can help kind of elevate this team in this roster. If you can free up some roster spots and some cap space in the mix, doing a 3-team trade, because you got to keep in mind, Sacramento wants to kind of get off of Malik Monk, right? So if you can work something like that out, then I think it's something that you explore. Right, Jonathan Kuminga. If I'm the Lakers, just how the Warriors are pestering the Lakers for LeBron James, I'd be pestering them for Jonathan Kuminga. Right? I'd be trying to see if I could get Jonathan Kuminga. There's still a lot of potential for trades and moves and options that the Lakers could potentially dive into. That I do think I'm hopeful the Lakers are still exploring. Right? I do think it's very likely the Lakers kind of go into the season as is. I do think it's very possible that the Lakers kind of, which may actually be the smarter thing for the Lakers to do. But I do think that, if you're the Lakers, you should still be maintaining and keeping your options open. I think if you're the Lakers, you should be kind of, making sure that if that move is there, like I mentioned, a Malik Monk trade, right? Can you maybe free up a roster spot to bring in a Malik Beasley? I know his last stint went around. I went more in detail, and I'm sure there's comments and stuff like that about it and stuff. And so I'll kind of go over those. We'll get into the super chat questions or the regular chat questions, all that stuff here in a moment. But just in general, like I want the Lakers to keep their options open. I want to have the Lakers keep their flexibility open and hope that that's something that the Lakers are continuing to do. But anyway, like I said, I just wanted to do this stream, just kind of talk about various trades and just have a fun conversation with everybody on various moves and whatnot that maybe the Lakers could end up doing. So that being said, let's get into the chat now that I've done my little rant. Let's get in all the super chat questions, all the regular chat questions real quick. Hit that like button for me. Hit that subscribe button for me. And let's get into it. Need a little sugar rush. Getting late. So, all right. Hang on. Let me. Here we go. All right. Perfect. Malik Beasley. Like I said, I wouldn't mind Malik Beasley at all. Talk about low risk, high reward. Be dirt cheap. Gerald, what's going on, buddy? Appreciate you. How are you? Salute, Tyler. Salute. Appreciate you. It has been a minute. How are you and the family? Wonderful. No complaints. Oh, and also you're going to share the stream out. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's I haven't streamed as regularly as I want to. It's just been busy with the move, house shopping, trying to get settled in and all that stuff. Once the season starts, I should be hopefully settled in, and then we get back to doing the post game streams, all the regular stream stuff like that. So try to stream as much as I can when I can. But yeah, I mean, everyone's happy, everyone's settling in, everyone's excited. Kids are getting ready for their first school year here since moving to Wisconsin and stuff. I'm getting ready to experience my first winter. That'll be exciting. We'll see how that goes. But appreciate you as always. As always. Can we maybe trade something to reload our second pick treasure chest? Second round picks are valuable chips these days, especially given the new CBA. Second round draft picks are much more valuable, and the way that the new CBA has kind of structured the way that you can sign second round picks and stuff like that. I mean, there's always a way. It's just what are teams are willing to give up, and what could you like? Could you turn Dalton Connect instead of, if a team's willing to give you a protected first, could you turn Dalton Connect into maybe 2 or 3 seconds, right? Something like that. A team that maybe has an abundance of first and seconds. Maybe you're making a move or a trade like that. I never want to see the Lakers make trades just to make trades, right? Like, I'd love to kind of, stock up our treasure chest a little bit, which the Lakers just naturally in the next season, if they don't make any trades or anything using their picks, would kind of replenish. Like next offseason, Lakers would have as many as 3 firsts that they could trade, plus pick swaps and all that other stuff. They'd have the 2032 second that they could use. And then that would open up another one. Like, so there's potential, right? If the Lakers play their cards right. But I mean, if you can make a trade and in the mix of making said trade, land a second or 2, why not? Why wouldn't you? Pow, what's going on? What's good, Tyler? Just got done scrolling on Insta and just saw you were live. I saw the Kings wanting to trade Monk. I would love him off the bench. We need Monk off the bench badly. Yeah. So first off, I appreciate you and everybody here joining me live. Speaking of, I should probably post that, but I'll do it in a minute. But started which probably should have done a long time ago, but I created a As It Stands Lakers X or Twitter, and I started an Instagram. I'll put the links in the chat here in a moment. Let me get through some of the chat and then we'll do that. But yeah, so yeah, should probably start using other social media. It's just such a pain. I've been blessed enough to not have to use social media to grow my YouTube channel. Usually that's how it works. I've just been blessed enough to where my YouTube's grown organically. So I haven't had to need social media, but I'm like, I should probably do that at some point. It just thought of that because you said you were scrolling through Instagram. But another thing is, I mean, the Kings want to get off of Monk. Problem is, the thing that's tricky is Sacramento wants to get off of Monk to open a roster spot, right? So they can't, so they're not like, we couldn't do, and one, I wouldn't do this, but let's say you just wanted to do like a Rui for Monk swap, right? I don't even think salary-wise you can necessarily do that, but just argument's sake, let's say you want to do that swap. Sacramento might not do that because they just want to get off of Monk, right? So you'd have to be creative and likely have to do like a 3-team trade or something. You'd probably have to do something where you're like, sending out, maybe a connect to a team like the Nets for like a middleman. So maybe like Devin Carter and Connect are going to the Nets to facilitate the trade, and the Nets are taking on like a Maxi Kleba, and then Gabe Vincent is going to, the Sacramento Kings, and then they open up a roster spot so they can bring in Russell Westbrook. They get another guy, or maybe they want Maxi Kleba, whatever, right? Might make more sense for the Nets to take Gabe Vincent because they might be able to get more for him, like get another pick or asset or something. So maybe you're doing something like that. It's like a 3-team trade where it's like the Nets or somebody are taking on multiple guys, and it's like, well, why would they do that? Well, they're getting a Dalton Connect and a Devin Carter, who are 2 young guys that could be, development pieces for them long term, that they would just get right. Like when do you just get 2 young guys for free? It's like, here you go, here's 2 young guys that have a lot of talent and upside and potential, and both are coming off of, or both are going into year 2, right? So you can maybe get something like that to where, here's 2 guys, and then Lakers free up some salary, free up a couple of roster spots. Kings free up some salary, free up a roster spot, right? It's kind of that win-win for everybody. Maybe that's how I would see the Malik Monk trade going down if it were to happen. But appreciate you. I need the Lakers to get a 3-and-D wing and a backup center. I do not like Hayes or trust him at all. I don't mind. So personally, I don't mind Hayes. I understand people's reluctancy. And I've even always maintained that I think Jackson Hayes, I like him better as like your 3rd big more than your 2nd big. However, like, I don't think it's a necessity. The 3-and-D wing, yes. Now, I'm okay with the Lakers kind of going into the season and just seeing, like, gauge, like, what if Jake LaRavia solves that issue? What if Jared Vanderbilt's 36% from 3-point range this season and solves that issue, right? Like, I'm okay with kind of going into the season and seeing if that develops. And even if it does, that still doesn't mean that you don't have to go make that trade. But now it makes it easier to make that trade, because now you're not coming from a place of desperation. Now you're coming from a place of like, hey, we'd still love Andrew Wiggins, but we don't need him anymore. We got Jared Vanderbilt shooting 36% from 3-point range, and we have Jake LaRavia killing it and doing all these things, right? Like, if it's something along those lines, then sure, right? You can kind of work that out. But the backup center spot, if you can do it in the mix of a trade, right? So like Matisse Thybulle and Robert Williams, or like whatever. If you can do something where it's like, a Dylan Brooks and Nick Richards, just kind of names popping in my head, right? Like, if you could do something like that where you're solving multiple needs, but in the process getting a center, then sure, right? But I don't necessarily want to see the Lakers like just go make a trade for a center. I just think the asset stuff like that, the salary that you'd have to bill, unless it's like a salary dump trade, right? I'd rather wait till the buyout market or something like that. Nikola Vucevic doesn't get traded, now he gets bought out, bring him in, and right? I'd rather the Lakers be patient in that regard and kind of see how things develop, because I mean the varying degree of backup centers is very limited, right? Like, the difference between a Nick Richards and a Jackson Hayes is not huge. Like, the gap isn't massive, right? Like, where you look at starting level centers, like even somebody as good as like an Alperen Şengün, the difference between him and like a Jokic is like night and day, right? But like backups, it's about role minutes, opportunity, whatnot, right? Like, especially once you get to the playoffs, like, how many minutes is that backup center play? Probably 10, if that, right? Like, because you're probably running, DeAndre Ayton 35 minutes a night. You're probably playing, 5 to 7 minutes minimum of small ball, through various lineups, depending on the matchups. And then you're running the backup, right? So like the backup's probably playing on average 10 to 12 minutes, maybe on average, right? So I don't think it's something that is like Lakers need to rush to the door to go do. If you can do it naturally, then sure, of course, right? Like, it's one of those things, like, you can always be better, right? Like, I would like somebody better than Jackson Hayes, but I don't think it's something that's like dire. Like, if the Lakers don't get a backup center, you can kiss the season goodbye. Like, I think Jackson Hayes will be fine. I think he'll continue to improve, continue to grow. He showed that he can, at least during the regular season, talked about very heavily, even during his stretch. I don't like him for the playoffs as your starter, but during the regular season, he's fine. During the regular season, you could win a lot of games with Jackson Hayes as your starting center with this team, and his floor running ability, his lob threat ability, stuff like that. It's not ideal, but I think you'll be fine. It's just I want to see them solve the backup center position, but not at like the risk of like, oh, now we have to trade, assets and do all this other stuff. And Braun isn't going anywhere. I agree. I don't think Braun's going anywhere either. The Warriors have nothing to give us. I don't want Jimmy in his contract, and I just wait till like next year to sign Kuminga or something. Sorry, Warriors, not today. Yeah, I mean, I don't think LeBron's going anywhere either. Also, if I was LeBron and I did want to get out and I did want to be traded, like it makes more sense for him to go back to Cleveland than it does the Warriors, unless he just like really wants to play with Steph, right? Like if LeBron was really like, if he wants to leave and he's like trying to force himself out, then yeah, you trade him. Like get off him. I don't think he will. And the Lakers were willing to trade him last season to the Warriors. They asked him, or according to reports, I mean, I don't know this for, it's not like I talked to Rob or LeBron, but based on reports, Lakers asked him, like, do you want to be traded to the Warriors? And he said no. Right? So, like, if he wanted to go to the Warriors, he'd probably already be a Warrior. If he wanted to go to the Warriors, he could have opted out and just signed and traded with the Warriors, right? Or opted in and then told them to trade him to the Warriors, right? Like, hey, I'll opt in, but I want you to trade me to the Warriors. Like, if LeBron wanted to leave, LeBron would have left. Like, I don't see LeBron leaving. And if he was going to leave, his best bet to win a championship is probably Cleveland, right? Like, because they'd be the best team in the East, right? If like LeBron's healthy and all that, even with what they'd have to give up in order to land LeBron, I don't think LeBron's leaving at all. I don't. But you never, I mean, things change quickly in the league. So, never say never. I don't think it's happening. Starting lineup should be until you make trades. That is, needed is point guard Luka, shooting guard Smart, small forward Jake, power forward Braun, and center Ayton, and have AR and Rui off the bench. So I really like the idea of AR and Rui off the bench. We talked about that very heavily. However, I mean, Jake LaRavia, maybe if he can show the defense, I don't hate that idea. But something that I've thrown out pretty heavily is going Luka, Smart, Jared Vanderbilt, LeBron James, and DeAndre Ayton. And the reason I really like the Marcus Smart and Jared Vanderbilt elements of it is the athleticism and the hustle that those two bring, but also particularly to start games. Luka Doncic likes to go off early, right? He likes to use the first quarter as like his building block, right? I mean, how many times do you see, even when he was with Dallas, how many times do you see Luka Doncic, like half of his field goal attempts will come in the first quarter, right? Like how many times does he try to drop 20 or 30 in the first quarter? He wants to go for the jugular in the first, right? So to me, I think guys like Jared Vanderbilt and Marcus Smart slotted alongside there, I think make more sense. Let Luka be Luka. Let Luka kind of just run the show and take 20 field goal attempts and do whatever. Especially LeBron likes to be a little more passive early on in games, right? Even before Luka, he liked to do that. So have the defensive intensity, have the defensive versatility, have that hustle, have those things. Let Luka be Luka to start the games. And then, when Luka is torching, now you have the defense to create that separation. But if Luka is starting off slow, you can go and have the defense to kind of close the gap, right? And you can always inject the offense if need be, right? So like if the offense isn't looking good and you're having the show, you can add that offense. Now you could say like, well, Tyler, like, couldn't you do the same thing with injecting the defense? Not necessarily, because again, if your offense isn't cooking and the defense isn't able to close the gap, all of a sudden that game gets blown out. By the time you put your defensive pieces in, you're cooked, right? Now you're playing catch-up all game, right? To where the defensive element of it, they can at least keep the game tight, and then you can inject, okay, let's throw Asariz out there. Okay, let's throw Rui Hachimura out there, right? And you can kind of inject what you need to inject. It's kind of my thoughts. I know people worry about the shooting with Smart and Jared Vanderbilt, but a couple things, like one, there's a big difference between Anthony Davis and Luka Doncic. Like Anthony Davis and LeBron don't want the paint packed, right? Because they want to operate in that, like, 15 in range, right? Luka doesn't care. Like, he's a jump shooter. He wants to shoot over the top. He wants the paint packed so he can collapse the defense and throw the lob threat or kick out to those said shooters, or just shoot over the top, right? So I just think you'd be fine in that regard. Obviously it'd be nice if you had a couple guys that can knock it down with some regularity, but we'll see. But yeah, appreciate you. He sucked when he was here the first time. So talk about Malik Beasley. So a couple things, and I broke this down more in the video I made earlier. Like, yeah, Malik Beasley wasn't great, right? However, a lot of people associate Malik Beasley with the Lakers as like the dude, the lights were too bright and he was trash. But not necessarily. Like, he was just as bad with Utah. I did the whole breakdown, went over the stats, went over the numbers, went over everything, right? Like, he had his numbers were identical. I mean, almost to the percent with Utah as it was the Lakers. So it wasn't like he was like, 42% from 3-point range with Utah and like 55% from 2-point range, with Utah, and averaged 15 points and whatever, right? And then he went to the Lakers and then just shot 35% and all this other. No, like, again, go look at his stat line with the Lakers and then look at his stat line with Utah. It's nearly identical. So was that year just a bad year? Right? Like, was that year the year that he just had his struggles? Because you look at the last 2 years, because a lot of people are like, oh, Lakers lights were too bright. But then, okay, so was Utah's lights too bright? Because again, he gave you the same production that he did in Utah, right? So to me, it's like, was that just a bad year or was it not? But there's differences, right? Like, that year, we needed Malik Beasley to be one of our top 5 guys, right? We needed him to be that, a 40% 3-point. Like, the plan was D'Lo, Malik Beasley, Jared Vanderbilt, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis. You got the shooting, you got the playmaking, you got the defense, you got everything. And now let's go win an NBA championship. And Malik Beasley just wasn't able to provide that top end talent for you, right? Well, this go around, one, he'd be a vet minimum deal. He'd be low risk, high reward. You'd be looking at worse. He's like your 14th guy, right? But you're not looking for him to be as top end talent. You're looking for him to be just kind of another cog in the machine. And if he is that top end talent for you, great, right? Then that could help potentially open up all kinds of things for you. So I think it's a low enough risk, high enough reward to where I would take the flyer on it. Obviously, Lakers would have to make a trade and do something to land him, but if they can do it, I would do it. What's going on, Anthony? Appreciate you. How are you? Thank you for popping in. Thank you for being here. I don't know why the Warriors trying to make calls for Legoat James. They have nothing we need outside of picks, but even still, nah, bro, let him stay MS, which I am loving. Yeah, I don't think LeBron goes to the Warriors. He's had several opportunities to go to the Warriors if he wanted to go to the Warriors. Also, another thing too is, like, again, like I mentioned earlier, like, if he really wanted to go somewhere else, he'd better off going to the Cavs. You got a wide open Eastern Conference, and you'd be going to a team that is already probably going to be the best team in the Eastern Conference. You'd probably walk to the NBA Finals, right? Like, you get to go back home. You win another championship in Cleveland, right? Like, oh, he went back twice and won a championship. Like, I think it'd be better for his career, better for his legacy, better for everything. I would, like, obviously the Laker fan in me doesn't want to see him go play with Steph, but the basketball fan, like the basketball purist in me, would love to see Steph and LeBron play. I'm not going to lie. Like, if I'm being honest, I would love to see them kind of team up for a season and just see what that looks like. Obviously I'd like it on the Lakers, not the Warriors, but again, it's like, you're right. I mean, like, what makes sense for the Lakers, right? If you're doing a more expanded trade where, like I mentioned, I talked about it in the video I made earlier, right? Like, if you were to do something like, Jimmy Butler, Jonathan Kuminga, and Moses Moody for, say, like LeBron, whatever, Gabe Vincent, and, Rui Hachimura. I'm not even sure off the top of my head if that salary matches, but just something like that, right? To where it's like, okay, you get more athletic, you get better defensively, you get kind of two young, versatile pieces that could be foundation blocks for now in the future. Like, sure, like I don't know if you're overall better because I mean LeBron's still a top 10 player. Like the guy's still ridiculous, but you might have more. You could argue you have better tradable assets now, right? So like if a Giannis or Jokic does become available, now it's like you could package Austin Reeves, Moses Moody, Jonathan Kuminga plus 3 firsts to go make that move for that next star, right? You could also add a Jake LaRavia or a Dude Thero if you needed to, and really kind of put together a package that's comparable to anybody, right? So from like a trade standpoint, sure, like I think that can make some sense. But even just like from just like a roster now standpoint, you'd be more athletic overall. You'd be better defensively overall. You'd still have that secondary star in Jimmy Butler. To me, I mean, it just would depend on how good Jimmy Butler is. If Jimmy Butler's like, playoff Jimmy Butler, right? Come playoff time, I think you still could potentially win an NBA championship, right? You could argue you'd have more depth and stuff, right? Like, I wouldn't hate it if it were to happen. I don't want it. Like, I just want to be clear. Like, I don't want it to happen. I don't think it should be happening. Look, I've been very open about, like, I don't know why there's reports that the Lakers want to get rid of him after this year. I don't understand it, right? Unless Jokic or Giannis are coming next season, it doesn't make any sense. You're not going to be able to replace LeBron. Like, you should want LeBron to stay at least till 2027. And then from there, then, because now if a Giannis is available and you can just sign him, then yeah, it's like, hey, LeBron, love you, but we can get Giannis, right? Like, or Jokic. It's like, hey, LeBron, love you, but we can get Jokic, right? I just think it depends. But I mean, you could do worse for, a 42-year-old year 23 LeBron than like Jimmy Butler, Moses Moody, and Jonathan Kuminga. Everybody can't play under the Laker lights. Absolutely. Not everyone, not every trade works. Westbrook, Melo, Malik, etc. Well, I mean, to be fair, Melo was actually good for us that year. He was not Melo, right? Like he was essentially role player, catch and shoot 3 Melo, not really. Oh, Carmelo. He wasn't the Melo that we know and love, that we're accustomed to in the past. Okay, sorry, I was just making sure that I got something. I like Beasley, but I don't think we'd want to come back here with how bad that's the question. Like, would he want to come back here? Because like Laker fans are not very favorable to him. He was getting like death threats and all kinds of stuff. So I don't know if he'd want to do that. The Kings are hilarious, man. They'd rather have Westbrook than Monk. I get that they have a lot of Monk type players, but then why Westbrook makes no sense. I mean, so Russell Westbrook, Malik Monk's the better player, but I get why they want Russell Westbrook. He's adapted really well, particularly with Denver. It started with the Clippers. I mean, well, it actually started with the Lakers, but then he embraced it a little more with the Clippers and then fully embraced it with the Nuggets, which he was actually very good for the Nuggets. But it's that defense point of attack. Like the thing that Sacramento lacks badly is defense in point of attack defense, as well as like playmaking, right? Having a guy in Russell Westbrook makes sense in that regard, right? Because now you have Dennis Schroeder, Russell Westbrook, and Keon Ellis as like your defensive guard group, right? You also have Russell Westbrook, who you could kind of let be a little more Russell Westbrook than some of these other teams, kind of give him the ball and just kind of let him make plays and stuff that could potentially raise Westbrook's ceiling a little better. And look, Sacramento's not trying to go win an NBA championship this year. Like, let's be honest. So, I get it. I don't think it's the smartest decision. And I think like at the surface level, it's kind of like, okay, that's a little silly, but I get it. I get what their thought process is. Jonathan Kuminga is the MVP for the Warriors offseason by holding them hostage. Yeah, so like the whole Jonathan Kuminga situation, I think, is hilarious, right? Because it's like all they're doing is hurting Curry, right? Like, how many more years does Steph have? How many years does he have left? And all you're doing is just holding out when you have like 5 guys that are supposed to sign with you that you're waiting around to sign. And then what's going to end up happening is Jonathan Kuminga is going to take the qualifying offer, which essentially screws you. And then, if I'm not mistaken, he would have like a de facto no trade clause. So, like, you're stuck. And then he's just going to leave in the offseason for nothing. And you went through this whole circus for nothing, right? When you could have gotten Malik Monk in a first, or, you know, you could have gotten Nick Richards and who was it? Who do they want to add? It's like Nick Richards and I think like Grayson Allen or something like that. And like a bunch of like 4 second-round picks or something. Like you could do all this other stuff, and you can't do. Like I don't understand the Warriors' logic. I think it's ridiculous. But yes, the Lakers need to go after a Beasley. Yeah, like I think. Look, low risk, high reward. Be cheap. I think you do it. They need a true point guard. That's why. Yeah. Monk is better as a bucket getter, but not as a playmaker. Russ fits the Kings. Yeah, I like Russ on the Kings. I get like I mentioned. I think on the surface, on the surface level, I get why people are like, "This is stupid." But I think when you really kind of break it down, it's like, okay, it makes sense. In my opinion, I don't want Beasley. Sometimes he is a troll. You're probably going to sell in the playoffs like he did with Detroit and Minnesota, but he is still a great sharp shooting option. Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, again, you're not looking for him. Like, with Detroit, he was one of their higher end players. With Minnesota, he's one of their higher end players. Like you were looking, they needed him to be great, right? I mean, even Milwaukee, which to be fair, he was actually really good in the playoffs. He shot like 44% from 3 in Milwaukee, right? But point is, right? Like you kind of look at the Malik Monk situation. He's low risk, high reward. You're signing him on a vet minimum. You're not looking for him to be one of your top 7 guys, right? He's just a guy that I think you bring in, gives you and provides some shooting, gives you now the digestibility of trading a Dalton Connect. Because it's like, okay, if you're going to trade Dalton Connect, it's like, well, we really could use his shooting. Well, it's like now you got Malik Monk, right? So like, I've seen people like, oh, well, what if you just like salary dump Connect and then bring in Malik Monk and then you can bring in somebody else? Like, I don't like that idea. Like, I want to get value for guys, right? But if you were to do in the mix of a trade, right? Like I mentioned earlier, like you do the Malik Monk trade and you in the mix of the trade, and then you getting off of Dalton Connect in that process, you free up like 2 roster spots and some salary space. It's like, well, we could use some shooting, so you bring in, a Malik Beasley, like something like that, right? Like I wouldn't hate that. W Stream, well, thank you, I appreciate you, thank you. Luka has been cooking lately. He's honestly hasn't had a bad game since maybe his very first game. Even that was pretty good. But that was just at the free. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, free throw shooting. Probably should have waited until I read it. He is going to be ridiculous this season. Can't wait. But likewise, I am so like people are forgetting, but don't worry, Luka's going to remind everybody, and I cannot wait. I cannot wait. I have always watched your videos. I just don't comment like I used to, but I appreciate you for the hard work you do, and I'm learning from your stuff to add to mine. Well, it's beautiful. Thank you. I appreciate that. And look, again, not everyone watches the videos and comments and does all that stuff, right? I just appreciate people watching. I'm still to this day shocked that people actually want to listen and watch and listen to what I have to say. So I'm very thankful for that. Right? I'm glad that I can, be in a position where, I mean, even like you said yourself, where, you're learning some stuff and that you can add to yours. And that's what it's all about, right? Like take pieces from others, like try to learn on the fly. Like, look, you learn very quickly. You're going to have good takes. You're going to have bad takes. You're going to have in between takes. You're going to have takes that, Gerald, you might be like, I don't vibe with that one, Tyler. Like it happens, right? Like it's part of the gist of it, right? I've had things that have aged beautifully. Like I've said things where I'm like, God, that was a great take, right? Like, or in the moment it didn't look great, but later on it was like, wow, talk about that, right? Like, like the Rui thing where I was like, what about Rui? Like, I had that stretch, like just a run where it was just like I had, it was like a 2013 LeBron run. I was just stretching through these things, and then you have where you're like, oh, like that aged terribly, right? It's part of the gig. Comes with the territory. But hey Tyler, do you think the Lakers are done, or do you think they may still make a trade? So So I'm pretty confident the Lakers make a trade. I just don't know if they make a trade this offseason. Right? Like they very well might be done for right now. Unless like that trade, like again, like Rob Pelinka loves to make trades. Like that's something that I try to get across people. Like Rob Pelinka has made a trade every year he's been in office, but one. And it was the year that no one else made a trade. Everyone that was available ended up getting traded in the offseason. Like it was when the Lakers were trying to get DeJounte Murray and all that stuff, right? So Rob Pelinka, if there's a trade to be made, Rob Pelinka is going to make that trade. It's just he likes the trades closer to the trade deadline, right? Because you usually get better value, right? Because teams are kind of more willing to deal because they kind of want to get off of guys, stuff like that. It's easier to get trades done at the trade deadline. So do I think the Lakers make a trade? Yes. Do I think it's during this offseason still? Probably not. Again, never say never. You never know, but probably not. We're going to see deja vu happen on February 1st, 26, Lakers versus Knicks. Lakers get a big win, and around 7 or 8, we get a Shams notification, and Giannis has been traded to LA. Speaking of existence, I'm with it. Let's make it happen. That'd be a beautiful thing. Let's see. Kleba is a good, valuable center forward, and everyone forgets him. Yeah, I mean, he's a good basketball player. Like he's a guy that when you throw in, he's not going to play out of his box, right? He's not going to play out of his realm. You know what you get with him. He's going to play hard. I like Maxi Kleba. I like. It's just, like where do you slot him in and who you play? Like you playing him over Jackson Hayes maybe on occasion, certain matchups and stuff. But like Jackson Hayes kind of gives you that energy, that rebounding. Like I don't know. Like I like Maxi Kleba. It's just I don't know how much he's going to play. Jax commits his usual 3 fouls in 3 minutes, and Max will show up. Yeah, you're probably not wrong in that regard. That's probably how that goes. Would the Suns even want anything we have realistically? I mean, there's like Gabe Vincent, they desperately could use like a guy that can initiate the offense, get the ball to like Jalen Green and Devin Booker. Guys like Rui Hachimura can make some sense. They really could use some like shooting and some forwards, some wings that could slot in at either forward spot. Rui kind of provide that for them. Right now, I don't think it would make sense for Houston. Like if I like remove my Laker bias for a moment, I think they're probably better off keeping Dylan Brooks and Nick Richards for right now. Nick Richards probably they could trade, but like if they were to unload Dylan Brooks, like I made a video diving into it, and I even said in the video that like it's something that I see happening like trade deadline. Right? Phoenix is a play-in team or worse, right? Like they're not very good. And they're like, hey, let's just kind of clear salary and reset next season. Right? Let's get off of Dylan Brooks' money. Let's get off of Grayson Allen's money. Let's get off of guys' money and kind of clear the deck and kind of just go into the season with our center core, Jalen Green and Devin Booker, and then have the flexibility next offseason to try to do. That's where I think the Lakers could potentially take advantage. That's where I could see the Lakers potentially getting something done, right? I think right now, it's like, are there things that Phoenix could use? Sure. Is it the best trade for Phoenix right now? Probably not. So a potential Suns trade is something I would look at, like keep an eye on. It's not something that I think would happen right now. It's something that I, again, kind of keep an eye on as we move into the season. And if Phoenix is not very good, then all of a sudden they could be like, hey, let's get off some salary here. And that's where the Lakers could really chime. In general, it's kind of how I look at the Lakers this season. Keep an eye on teams, not like bottom feeding. I'm talking about like middle of the pack teams or teams that thought they were going to be good but weren't. Those teams are where the Lakers are going to be able to get their best value in potential trades. Because you're going to have teams that, like a Phoenix, that want to and kind of need to be good because of Devin Booker, and you don't want Devin Booker to get itchy and go get me out of here. So they're going to get to that point where if they're not very good this year, where desperation kind of kicks in and they're like, okay, we really need to clean the deck here and reset this thing, right? We already kind of did that this past offseason. Do it again. Like, you need Lakers finding teams like that will go a long way. What's going on? Appreciate you, Laker Nation. All right. LeBron James and Dan Gilbert despise each other. On a good day, LeBron James is going nowhere. I don't think LeBron goes anywhere anyway, but also LeBron James hating Dan. I mean, Dan Gilbert literally wrote like a threatening letter to LeBron James and about LeBron James, and he still went back there and won a championship. So again, if LeBron goes back to Cleveland, it has nothing to do with Dan Gilbert. It didn't have anything to do with Dan Gilbert last quarter. Ken Ayton really averaged 20 plus without Reeves having a down year with less usage. Probably not. Like, I think Ayton's probably in the 15 to 18 range, right? In a post, if we didn't have LeBron, I would say yes. But I just think, like, because the point of your question is without Reeves having a down year. It is very hard to have 4 players average 20 points, right? Like, there's teams that have done it, right? Like, Minnesota did it a couple of years ago, right? With, like, what was it? Zach LaVine, Andrew Wiggins, Karl Anthony Towns, and who was the other guy? Was it Butler? Was it Jimmy Butler? Something like that, right? They had like 4 guys averaging 20 points a game, right? Like, so is it possible? Sure. It's really hard, right? And this has kind of been my problem with Austin Reeves, and one of my concerns with Austin Reeves is, like, Ayton by default might end up just being the third option, because him and Luka, I think, are going to have that 2-man game. Also, Ayton being the center and kind of that lob threat that's always on display, and, you know, an outlet for LeBron, an outlet for Reeves, an outlet obviously for Luka, but also a guy that can get rebounds and putbacks and make sense to run plays because he can pick and pop and do all these things, right? Like, I think that there is a chance that Ayton ends up kind of just by default ends up being the third option, which would drop down Reeves's production and usage. So I don't know. It's tough. It's tough. AR is in a contract year, and bench dude isn't part of the plan. It's hard to get 30 minutes for bench boys. It's 40 minutes a game. He's probably, I mean, even if he wasn't in a contract year, I don't think the Lakers bench him. I just think Lakers value him too much. See, I see Stephen A. Smith is still on the Taylor Swift era. Dude, it's wild. This guy's still talking about LeBron every opportunity he got. I think it's hilarious that his daughter was like, I have the biggest crush on Bryce, right? He had his daughter, like, I saw the little clip going around on X, and his daughter was talking about Bryce. Like, and then all the comments, I was like reading the comments. It was hilarious. Listening while playing with an online gaming, but nice, awesome. Well, I appreciate it. Like I said, I appreciate everybody tuning in and just listening. I want nothing to do with bees. He can't handle the LA lights. Again, like, was it the LA lights, or was it just a bad year? Right? Because again, go look at his production in Utah before the Lakers traded for him. It's identical. He had a bad year. He wasn't good in Utah, and he came to Lakers, and he was equally as bad with the Lakers as he was in Utah. The problem is, and the reason there was this, like, conception Beasley was terrible for the Lakers and he forgot how to shoot, is because right before the Lakers traded for Beasley, he was on, like, an insane run, right? Like, he was on Utah, and even on that insane run, he still was only averaging like 35% from 3. But he had, like, I don't remember exactly what it was off the top of my head, but it was like a 5-game stretch or something like that where he's shooting like 50% from 3 or something crazy like that, which tells you how bad he was shooting previous to that. Right? And then he went to the Lakers and then went right back to the law of average that season. But again, we were also looking for him to be a kind of top-end talent that year, where this year we're not. We're not looking for him to be one of our top 5 to 7 guys, right? I really don't like getting Beasley by dumping Connect. Yeah, he's over 40% on 3-point percentage, but Connect is cheaper, more potential, and can do more things on the court, though both sucks on D. I don't like the idea of just like dumping Connect to bring in Beasley either. I'm talking more of just like through the natural course. So like Lakers pull off a trade, make something happen, and then it's like, hey, we could use a shooter, bring in Beasley. Um, I mean, Beasley right now would, at least for this year, would be cheaper because he'd be probably signing a vet minimum. Let's see. I understand that you won't go for Monk or Beasley, but I think the perfect person to go after is DeAnthony Melton and get rid of Gabe Vincent. I think that would put us in. Look, I really like DeAnthony Melton. However, he is waiting for the Warriors to resolve their Jonathan Kuminga issue so he can sign with them. I mean, according to reports, which makes sense why he hasn't signed anywhere else. What do you think is the ceiling for Bronny and Thero long-term roles long-term with this team? Could Thero be a starter? Could Bronny become Donovan Mitchell or Davion Mitchell type of player? So, I mean, look, they're both incredibly young, and I don't want to put them in a box, right? Like what is their, like, if you're talking about their ceiling, it could be superstar, right? Like a dude Thero could be the next Kawhi Leonard, like what the best get a stop, get a bucket guy in the league type thing, right? Like Bronny James could be, I don't know, a SGA type, right? Something like that. I don't know, right? I'm not saying that they will. I'm just, they're so young and just getting started that, like, who knows where they're going to be. Like, if you're talking about their ceiling, right? What do I think is like their realistic, like, where would I kind of gauge them as what I think they'll be? That is different than what I think their ceiling is, because their ceiling could be, top 5 in the league, right? Like, again, I don't know, right? Especially somebody like an Adou Thero. I mean, Adou Thero has literally all the tools: 6'7", 6'8", 41-inch vertical, already looked at as an elite defensive player coming out of college who can create for himself, finish at the rim at both, like, I mean, he could be a superstar, right? He could end up being the other star slotted alongside Luka. But more realistic expectations, I look like a guy like Bronny James. Davion Mitchell is an excellent comparison, right? I've talked about in the past with Bronny James, like, not everybody has to be a superstar. Like, everyone wants, every guy to be a superstar. Sometimes you just need those guys that are just role players that are willing to do the dirty work. Right? If Bronny could be a more athletic Gabe Vincent, right? Just like a 3-and-D guard, but just better athleticism, so he has more explosiveness, can apply better rim pressure, whatever. Perfect. Like that's fantastic. If he could be a Mario, a better defensive Mario Chalmers, that'd be fantastic. Right? Like, you don't need, like, he doesn't have to necessarily be a superstar. If he can be a Davion Mitchell type, just like an aggressive defensive kind of two-way 3-and-D guard. If he could be a Lou Dort type, right? Like, be fantastic, shoot 38% from 3 and defend the best guard on the other team. Perfect. Adou Thero, same thing, right? If he could be an OG type, OG Anunoby, right? Which even Rob kind of compared him to. Right, which I think is a fair comparison, right? Like, OG isn't a superstar. OG isn't a guy that people look at and are like, man, that guy is one of the 25 best players in the league. But he's an all-star level, one of the better prototype 3-and-D wings in basketball. A guy that every team in the league would love to have, a guy that every team in the league needs, a guy that every team in the league wants, right? Because he can defend 1 through 5 and impact the game and go get you 20 on any given random night, but also defend the best player on the other team. Like if Adou Thero can just be that for the Lakers, right? I think Adou Thero absolutely could be a starter. Bronny James, I think, will be either fringe starter or, one of the key backups, right? Like, I could see him as like first guard off the bench type thing, just because he's like 6'3". If he was like 6'5", I'd be like, dude, that guy might be the future backcourt running mate alongside Luka Doncic. I just think unless you have some real size along, like an Adu Thero and an Arthur Kaluma becomes another like OG type for us, right? Then I think, yeah, like maybe you could get away with like a Bronny James is just like that pesky defensive point of attack guy, but you really have kind of like the two big, sizable, versatile wings that are there to kind of be that support. So Adu Thero, I would say if he could be a, like a Herb Jones, like low end to like an OG high end, right? Perfect. Obviously, again, if he could be like, like a Kawhi Leonard type, that'd be ridiculous. But like, I'm thinking like if he's somewhere, low end Herb Jones, high end OG, chef kiss. Bronny James, if he could be, a low end Davion Mitchell, high end like a Lou Dort type, chef kiss, right? Like perfect. Something along those lines. If Smart, Ayton, and Vando are good defensively, what do you think is the Lakers' defensive ceiling? So if Ayton really buys in defensively, especially as a rim protector and a shot blocker, like he said he wants to, if Marcus Smart can stay healthy and get back to being not even necessarily defensive player of the year, Marcus Smart, but just a high-end defensive player, and then Vando can get back to being Vando, I mean, Lakers could be a top, depending on how many minutes they play. I mean, they could be a top 7 to 10 defense. Just because we know LeBron can get after it defensively. To me, it just depends on, kind of the other pieces and how much they play, right? If Smart and Vando are, the top end defensive players that we want them to be, but they're only getting 12 minutes each, like they're not going to have the impact as they would if they were playing, 25 minutes each. So, but assuming everything goes well, then yeah, I think they could be a top 7 to 10 defense. If that happens, they're winning the championship. If Lakers are top like 7 to 10 defensively, right, and that carries over into the playoffs, Lakers will win the championship because they're going to be top 3 at worst offensively. If we get Melton, then we have a really started 10-man rotation: Lucas Smart, Rui, Braun, and Ayton, Reeves, Melton, Jake, Vando, and Hayes. Tyler, please push for Melton. For Gabe, please. I am all over DeAnthony Melton. I would love to have DeAnthony Melton. I've talked about the Lakers should be trying to convince him, but all signs point to him signing with the Warriors. Let's see. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not afraid of any team in the West. Agreed. 1,000%. We can beat OKC because their guards are simply too small. Houston can't score. Even KD, Luka, I will hunt Jokic like a deer. I am right there with you. 1,000%. It has been a very long time. Basketball is almost here. I've said nothing about the new signings here, but my expectations for this team is decent. Very well could be a good 5th seed. Let's get them. Yeah, look, I think first off, all right, LeBron. So secondly, look, like I said, I think Lakers could be anywhere from top 2 to a 5 or 6. I think they're a playoff team at least. West is just so tight, right? Like Lakers could be better this year and still be the 5th seed, right? Where it's like, last year they were the 3 seed, but it's just because, again, like the difference between the 3 seed and the like 8th seed was like 2 games, like a game and a half, right? Like, so again, there's very different things. I'm finna head out, so I probably won't see you read my comment. But you take care and stay safe. God bless. You keep up the good work, and thanks again for the streaming. Well, thank you. Seriously, Gerald. I appreciate you as always. Thank you for popping in and hanging out with me. At least forget Luka had 73-point game. Yeah, and didn't he still have like 10 assists and like 8 rebounds or something? 2018 LeBron or 2013 LeBron. I may get hate, but I'm taking 2013 LeBron. A better defender, more athletic, stronger, best player ever. Yeah, 2013 LeBron for sure. You watch hoops tonight. You think that Steph has been better than LeBron the past few years? I think not. So I haven't seen Jason Tim's. I've seen people mention it, but I haven't actually gotten to see it and kind of hear his explanation. Like I said, I haven't watched the video. primarily, I mean, I haven't had time, if I'm being honest. I Jason Timpf is actually one of my favorite people to listen to. When I can, it's really hard. Between YouTube and life and kids and everything like that, it's hard for me to just sit there and listen to sports all day. And also, I do this all day for a living, so like, to usually, like, if I do watch YouTube, right? Because like I get people all the time, which I think is funny, right? Because like, I'll post a video and Lakers Nation, or Jason Hoops Tonight, or somebody will post a similar video. People are like, oh, you must have watched their video, and I'm like, I didn't. And they're like, oh, of course. And I'm like, no, I really don't. Like, it's just like, if you're a chef all day, like, do you want to go home and cook all day? No. You want to, like, do you want to watch videos of people cooking all day? No. Like, like, it's the same thing. Like, if I watch YouTube, usually it's other stuff, right? Because like, I'm all I'm doing is researching all day and looking stuff up and making videos and doing all that stuff, right? So like, but when I can, like, on occasion, there are a couple, like, I like first things first. I like to listen to. I like Chris Broussard and Nick Wright and them kind of just banter back and forth. They're one of the more tolerable ones. Hoops Tonight, same thing. Jason Timpf, I really like listening to him and kind of him breaking down the games. But usually when I'm watching their things, it's more selective, right? It's like, he's breaking down a specific topic that I'm really interested in, or I want to kind of hear, like, I have an opinion on it, so I kind of want to hear his thoughts on it. Also, as somebody that does a content creating and I talk about my own things, I also don't want to have other people like influence my opinion on things. So usually I'll like make the videos and I'll talk about stuff, and then later, if I see something that I'm interested in later, I will watch it, just because I like, I don't want that to influence what I'm going to say. I want to give my opinion, my thoughts, my take, and then, watch somebody else's opinion. And if I'm like, yeah, you know what, I might have been wrong. Well, I already gave my opinion. I already gave my take. So just in general, I know that wasn't really necessarily a question, but I get asked a lot. Like, do you watch this or that or that? Not really. I just don't have the time. And even when I do have the time, I usually am like, do I really want to watch sports stuff right now? Or do I want to watch, like, because it's literally all I do all day. It's like just researching and intaking stuff and, reading reports and all that. Right. So usually I want to, like, if I'm going to watch YouTube and like turn my brain off and like watch something, it's usually like non-sports stuff. But as far as like Steph being better, I don't like I said, I didn't see the video, but I saw the title, right? Because it pops up on my thing. And I don't know if he actually said that they're better, but from the title of the video, it says more impact. If I'm not, it says like something like more impactful, right? That like Steph has been more impactful than LeBron James. Impact and just overall better are not the same thing, right? Like, so could you argue Steph has been more impactful than LeBron? Yes. If you want to argue that Steph has been better than LeBron, no, I think LeBron has been better. Right? Like, I think LeBron is better. Right? Even at this stage of their career, I think he's been better. Even the last 5 years, I think LeBron has been better. Right? I mean, both have won a championship during that time. So, I mean, it's not like you can be like, well, Steph won a championship and LeBron didn't. Like, no, they both won a championship during those stretches. But if you want to talk about impact, yeah, you could argue the last 5 years Steph has been more impactful as a basketball player, but he hasn't been, in my opinion, at least, he's been better. He hasn't been better than LeBron. LeBron's been better. Every arena has an asterisk bubble. See, I don't like, I get what you're saying. Like the bubble absolutely counts 1,000%. I don't believe in asterisks, right? Like for championships, right? Like, I mean, people like the lockout year, like Spurs winning championship. Like there's all kind, like, oh, this team, like, oh, Boston didn't play anybody. It's like, it's not Boston's responsibility. Boston's responsibility is to show up and smack the team in front of them, whoever that is, right? Like, do the Oklahoma City Thunder have an asterisk because Tyrese Halliburton got hurt? No. Like, again, like, it's not their job. If Halliburton gets hurt, that's part of the game. It's not Indiana. It's not like the OKC is supposed to be like, well, okay, let's just wait. We'll tell you what, let's pause this series and we'll pick it back up next year, right? When he recovers. Like, it just, again, the whole asterisk thing and stuff, it's so ridiculous. Like, it's just people trying to find a way to cry and complain and like, okay, again, every championship, You could find stuff. Like, I mean, you're right in the sense that like every ring has an asterisk. You're right. I mean, I look at it the other way where it's like no rings have an asterisk, but it is the same kind of logic, right? Every single championship that has ever been won, you can find a flaw in. You can find and put an asterisk in, right? Like, like the whole, oh, this doesn't count or that. It's so ridiculous. It's so silly. I knew the Celtics had a lucky year. That's why they lost. That's why they lost in 2024. They had no competition up to the finals. Like I said, I mean, every year you could make an argument for why this championship was less than the last one, so on and so forth. Honestly, Kleba looks like a freaking beast with his posts and stuff. Yeah, I mean, he looks like he's put on some muscle. Dude turned into Blake Griffin with the windmill dunk, sheesh, and he's looking jacked. Training camp like that, Dan. Yeah, I'm hoping he kind of, take some real strides and some steps this year. That'd be amazing. That wall has been here for a while. Yeah, you haven't been wrong. Yeah. Hey, look, moving and shopping for houses stuff takes time. It takes time. You probably have this background for a couple more months. Kleba looked incredibly jacked. He can turn into a Jackson Hayes, Brook Lopez. That would be amazing. If he shoots like 38% from 3-point range, Lakers might be trouble. You see Vando in the lab. He looks like he might be the Lakers. Yeah, 1,000%. He looks amazing. Dylan Brooks is so valuable. Why would they get rid of him? He's not even making a lot. Brooks, a 3-and-D, extremely valuable. I say the Suns not making the KD trade without Dylan Brooks. I mean, they might have made the KD. They didn't really have much choice, right? Like KD was leaving one way or another. Again, the Dylan Brooks thing doesn't make sense right now. But if the Phoenix Suns end up not doing too well, the only way they're going to be able to retool things is to get off a salary. They're going to need to clear the deck, right? Which means they're going to have to get off of Dylan Brooks. And Dylan Brooks is making money. He's not making like $40 million, but he's making, what is his contract? It's like $27 million, something like that, or $25 million, somewhere along those lines. I know he's making some pretty hefty money. Here, let me look it up real quick. I know he's not like $15 million. Like he's still got multiple years on his deal. If I'm not mistaken, I want his contract. There we go. Dylan Brooks is making 21 million. His contract does go down to 19 million. He's making 21 million. So yeah, he's making basically $20 million, and he'd be going into a contract year next year, right? To where, like they're probably in their best interest to clear the deck. Like I said, it depends on how they play. If they're like half decent, then they probably keep him. I'm glad we kept Kleba, because while I feel like everyone's seen LeBron, Reeves, Luka, Ayton, Smart, Hayes, Kleba could honestly be another solid piece while being a big man. Yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot of potential for him, especially if he can kind of, find his footing, stay healthy. It's another big key. If he can stay healthy and do all those things, that'd be fantastic. Would you trade Austin Reeves and Dalton Connect for Keon Ellis and Malik Monk? No. I think Keon Ellis, I think he is exactly what this team needs. I think he's a better fit alongside Austin Reeves. Malik Monk, I'd love to have because you get the scoring and stuff like that. I think you can make an argument that you'd be better. However, I just think Austin Reeves and his value and look, I'm somebody that is not against trading Austin Reeves. I'm somebody that has been very critical of Austin Reeves, been labeled an Austin Reeves hater. But for Keon Ellis and Malik Monk, I think like trading Austin Reeves and Dalton Connect, your two best trade assets, like player and contract wise, for Keon Ellis, who I think is fantastic, don't get me wrong, and Malik Monk, I just think you didn't properly use your assets. Right? I don't think you properly maximized Austin Reeves. I think you could get a better return for it. I think you would almost be better trading Austin Reeves to yield a better return and then using some of that return to then go get Keon Ellis and Malik Monk, especially with a team in Sacramento that essentially just wants to give away Malik Monk. If Luka wants to keep AR-15, they are going to keep him. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it depends on what Luka wants. I don't think Luka really cares either way. I just think, I'm not saying that he doesn't like him. I'm just saying, like, I think it's like, is Luka Doncic just going to be like, oh my God, I'm leaving because you traded Austin Reeves? Probably not. What seed do you think the Lakers will end this season if they don't trade anyone and everyone stays out? So the Lakers stay put as is and everyone's healthy. I think they could be top 2 to 3 seed. If they're fully healthy, I think they're a top 3 seed at worst. Right? I think depending on how things shape up, how many games LeBron plays, Luka plays, everything like that, I think they're bare minimum a playoff team. Will they be in that like 3 to 6 range type thing? But if everyone's fully healthy, like if you told me like, you jumped into a DeLorean and came back and were like, hey, Tyler, everyone's healthy, they're a top 3 seed at worst, if not better. Did you see Bleacher Report top starting 5 list? It was an absolute joke. Not sure you want to make a video at it at all. They have the Warriors above us. They hate us. Is real, man. I made a video earlier, like literally an hour before I did this live stream, talking about that and or not Bleacher Report. I talked about Bleacher Report, but it was more their list of like teams, and then but recently the Athletic did. I was talking more about the Athletic thing. Everybody's talking about the Lakers are trash and this, that, and the other. It's just, it's okay. We're going to find out. Season's right around the corner. Sign Beasley, man. I don't care anymore. Also, good point. Also, Beasley was a big piece next to D'Lo and Vando in that trade while we were making a big push, get him on a $1 contract. Yeah, like that's the thing. Like it's Lakers. It's a very different scenario. We needed Beasley to be a top 5 guy for it. He was supposed to be our starting 2 guard, right? He was supposed to be a guy that him and D'Lo were going to be the new Splash Brothers for the Lakers and all that stuff, and it didn't work out that way. So that's the problem. The only trade I could maybe see is maybe if Boston decides to trade Sam Hauser, and that report. I would love Hauser. Great shooter. Maybe get a Luke Kennard for us. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't hate like a shooting, but like, why trade for a Hauser when you can get a Beasley for free? Is kind of my thoughts. Not saying Beasley's better or not, just like you're better off like pulling off a trade, making something just like Brandon and Beasley. Now, Bronny could definitely be the next Shaq for what Lakers team wins a 7-game series? AD, LeBron, Rui, Max, and Gabe, or Hayes, LeBron, Dorian Finney-Smith, Reeves, and Luka. So I talked about this like during the offseason, or during the playoffs even. I think the Lakers had a better chance of winning a championship had they not done the Luka trade. However, I don't know if the Lakers make the playoffs if they don't do the Luka trade. So, got to keep in mind, Anthony Davis was hurt, and he would have missed significant time. And on the Lakers, he probably doesn't have the pressure or feel the need to rush back like he did with Dallas, right? Which means he probably wouldn't have gotten hurt again, but he probably would have sat out longer to kind of get himself right. So Lakers probably are a play-in team if they don't do the Luka trade. However, let's say that they squeeze into the 6th seed. That team with Dorian Finney-Smith, Anthony Davis, all of that, right? Before the Luka trade. All would have matched up better with everybody because you would have Anthony Davis at center position, JJ Redick. Like they were maximized. Anthony Davis, before he got hurt, was averaging like 28 a game. Like he was having a season. I mean, the last game before he got traded, he put up like, what was it, like 42 and 15 or something like that, and then they ended up trading him. Right? So that team, I think, would have had a better chance. Also, I think the Lakers would have made different trades had they not done the Luka trade. So I think that they would have solved some of their other needs had they not done the Luka trade. Right? So I think that I'm not saying that they would have, like, for sure lock it in that they would have won a championship, but I think that they matched up better against the teams in the Western Conference had they not done the Luka trade. But you don't not do the Luka trade, right? Like you have a chance to get Luka Doncic, you go get Luka Doncic, right? You should go to Lakers and Bucks game if you get a chance, since you're in Wisconsin and you can help. I'll put the word to Giannis. I know, like slide him a note, like, hey, my guy. I know I do. I want to. That's the plan. Try to go to a couple games, and Chicago's like 2 hours away, so I can go do stuff like that. Like, definitely. Can we get Marcus Smart that hit 9 threes against? Yeah, seriously, facts. Get the lights out, Marcus Smart. The knocking down the threes, Marcus Smart. Let's see. Smart, Vando, Gabe, Braun, Houndon, Curry is going to be amazing to watch. Dude will be in prison. Yeah, dude. The type of defensive lineups that the Lakers could throw out there are ridiculous. I think the Lakers addressed that 3 spot before training camp. I hope so. I would love to see them kind of do that, get that resolved, get that out the way. But no, we'll see. Like I said, I don't think that they need to rush it, but it would be nice. We can run it back as a 3 seed for sure. Houston and OKC are lock at 1 and 2 for me. I don't forget Denver and Dallas are over here while we just have so many other teams fighting to win as well. Yeah, I mean, look, it's gonna be a juggernaut. Dallas, I'm not really worried about as far as like competing for seeding, just because like Kyrie is gonna miss like half the season, so that'll be kind of interesting, something to kind of keep in mind. Once he gets back, then it's like, what kind of run and tear do they go on? Denver, I'm not gonna lie, Denver, I do kind of worry about. I think Denver's better. I think their ceiling's higher with Michael Porter Jr., but I think consistency wise, I just think they're better. But they've never really cared about seeding like too much. They're just kind of like, let's get into the playoffs and be healthy type thing. So, I still want to trade Gabe Vincent later on. However, I do believe Marcus Smart will alleviate some of the pressure off of Gabe Vincent to where he might actually be really good for us this season. I mean, to Gabe's credit, like I think they need to trade him and I think he should go, but to his credit, like in his defense, he did play much better towards the back end of the season. He was much better, kind of in the second half of the season once he started getting his legs under him and stuff, to where I think he could, I think he might be able to be back in business. But Boston won the chip because they were a great team. If Halliburton didn't get hurt, I do believe the Pacers would have won, but they didn't, and OKC won because they were amazing young team. And yeah, exactly. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want to be a fly on that wall. I wouldn't want to be a fly on that wall either. With this current roster, what do you think the Lakers should utilize most in clutch moments? Is there a certain plays or 2-man game that you want to see? Yes, Luka and Ayton 2-man game, I think, has the potential to be the best, like, just play in basketball. That pick and roll with Ayton and Luka, especially with Ayton's ability. Like, teams were able to cut it off with Jackson Hayes because Jackson Hayes is limited offensively. Like, if you cut off that lob, that's basically it. You cut off the lob for Ayton, he can just shoot over either shoulder, knock down the elbow, knock down the little 15-footer, right? So you have more offensive versatility with him. I think that Ayton Luka pick and roll is going to be lethal. I mean, Luka's going to be Luka isolation is probably your best bet. I mean, the guy is one of the most clutch players in basketball. The guy is ridiculous. But as far as like actions go, I would want to run. I mean, depends on what the starters are. I guess not necessarily the start. Like, what is the closing unit? Right? Because your starters don't necessarily have to be your closing unit. So depending on what the closing unit is, could dictate kind of like those plays. I kind of want more information before I like am like, we need to run, high pick and roll with LeBron and Luka action, right? Like, but the 2-man game with Luka and LeBron for sure. 2-man game with Luka and DeAndre, and a lot of your just kind of closing minutes, I think, will be like give Luka the ball and get out the way type thing. So again, it depends. What's going on? Oh, what's going on, Edmund? How are you? Sorry, I didn't mean to pull up the random troll comment. Do you think Ant will average 30? I mean, it can. Will he? I don't know. Eventually. I don't know if he does it this year, though, but eventually. I actually really like RJ Barrett. So that's funny that you mentioned that. I actually have a video done and uploaded on the channel. I just haven't posted it yet. I have it scheduled about RJ Barrett, diving in RJ Barrett, because I actually like the idea of RJ Barrett if you can't get Andrew Wiggins as like an alternative. How much do you think the Lakers have gotten better, and what teams are realistically above him? I mean, it's hard to gauge like how much better the Lakers have gotten until we actually see the Lakers play, right? Like, on paper, they've gotten a lot better. on paper, you can make an argument that they're a contending team. I mean, a team that lacked depth added 4 new depth pieces, right? Or I guess technically 3 because they lost one, but added new depth pieces, added probably the best center option that they could have gotten via trade or buyout or free agency, right? And DeAndre Ayton. They got a center that was, we're 2 years removed from people looking at him as a top 7 center in basketball, right? Like he just went to Portland and kind of everything changed. But before that, he was in the finals and matching up beautifully against Anthony Davis, and people were talking about him as like, is he a top 5 center and blah, 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 right? So, I mean, on paper, Lakers got much better, right? Jake LaRavia is a B+ rated defender. Look, I've talked about it. If the Lakers traded for all these guys rather than signing them, people would be talking about how the Lakers are the best team in basketball. Any other team but the Lakers in a 5-month span, right? I think that's what it was. Roughly 5 months. Might have been less, but call it 5 months. Any team, pick a team. Any team lands Luka Doncic and DeAndre Ayton in a 5-month period. Everybody and their mother would be talking about how that team is now the best team in basketball. And oh my God, can't believe it. They just got Magic and Kareem. Like, but because it's the Lakers, everyone's like, oh, Lakers are trash. Luka, Barrett, James, Rui, Ayton, Reeves, 6-man. I am with it. I am right there with it. Do you think Malik Monk trade for Gabe Vincent, Dalton Connect happens before the season starts? No, I don't think it happens at all. And I definitely don't think it happens for Gabe Vincent and Dalton Connect because, one, financially, it can't happen. Lakers wouldn't be able to do that. You'd have to add in another piece. And 2, the Sacramento Kings want to clear Monk off the books. So they basically want to trade him for free. They want to clear a roster spot in order to sign Russell Westbrook. So they wouldn't be able to do that by taking on 3 guys. They'd have to like buy a bunch of guys out and stuff like that. And they wouldn't be able to do that. And they're like $9 million or $7.5 million from the first apron, which they're hard capped at. And they need to open up roster spots and whatnot. So they chances are like the only way to make it happen would be a 3-team trade. You'd have to convince a team to take like Devin Carter and like Dalton Connect for free. And then the Lakers send, like Maxi Kleber in that trade, like say the Nets, right? Like would the Nets take Devin Carter and Dalton Connect for free while taking in Maxi Kleber or Gabe Vincent? And then Sacramento has to take the other, Gabe Vincent or Maxi Kleber, and then they open up the roster spot in order to do what they need to do type thing. Tyler, how tall are you? You should be Lakers center. Not that tall. Definitely not 7 feet. Like 6 feet. 6 listed just under 6'1", but I'm definitely not 6'1". I'm about 6 feet. 6 feet tall. Do you think Reeves is better off the bench than start Smart? Yes, I do think. I just think if you want to best maximize Austin Reeves, I think it's best to bring him off the bench. I think that'd be the best way to maximize him, allow him to kind of be him. I think it also balances out the Luka and Reeves and LeBron and then the offense and defense and so on and so forth type thing. So, that's kind of my thoughts in that regard. Tyler Reeves called me a few days ago and said he wants to run a boxing match with you. Run it. Let's go. I mean, Austin Reeves has got like 5 inches on me, but, never turn down a squabble. Let's do it. Actually, that's a lie. I'm a dad now. Fat dad. As you get older, you realize it's best to turn down a squabble. But I'm with it. I am with it. Tyler, will Stu appear next Scream? Absolutely not. Not happening. Maybe as a deep fake or AI or something like that. Yeah, he will. But him alive? No. Bro, you're much better than Stephen A, in my opinion. Well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, it depends on where Stephen A's bar is. I mean, technically, that probably could be an insult, but no, I appreciate you. Seriously. Thank you so much. I really do. And cool. I got to the end of the chat. Actually, no, Billy Loomis isn't my favorite. It's actually Mickey. If you're talking about Ghostface, Mickey's my favorite Ghostface. I love Mickey. But I got to the end of the chat, so I'm going to skate on out of here. It's getting late where I'm at. It's already it is 2 a.m. Whoo, sheesh. So I'm gonna probably hit the hay, or try to at least. Now I'm all awake because of you guys. Thanks. But no, in all seriousness, I appreciate all of you. Actually, I'm gonna do a community post because I'd have to like look it up and pull it up. I'm not really sure how to do that, but I started an Instagram for As It Stands Lakers, and I started a Twitter for As It Stands Lakers. If you look up As It Stands Lakers on Instagram and Twitter, it should pop up. Should be like the first thing that pops up. But I'll make a community post right now. So give me like 30 seconds, and then go look at the community post, and I'll put the links in there. So that way we could do that. But yeah, I appreciate you guys. Everybody that's here, seriously, thank you all. Anybody watching this replay, thank you so much. I really do appreciate you guys. On your way out, real quick, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and yeah, Ty, never turn down a fade. I rock with you. Look, I grew up in the 90s. You don't duck the fade, but I appreciate you guys. You guys are beautiful. I'll see you all.